Hey everybody! Happy sunny Monday! Come on in! I am going to do a quick video first right now of my brow tutorial. So I had some questions about this, and I know that I have been doing something right with my brows because so many of you thought that my brows were naturally full. Now, here's the secret. Here's the real deal. This is what my poor, mangled, poor, unfortunate eyebrows look like after about 25 years of waxing and plucking, but mostly waxing for me. I've always waxed my brows, and I started when I was about 10 years old, possibly 11 years old, but I think I was closer to 10 when I first got my eyebrows waxed. Oh my gosh. So these poor puppies have been through the ringer, and even I still find now that if I go to a brow stylist just randomly and ask them to just, like, I've gone to a brow stylist and said, I'm growing in my brows, please just take the, you know, the little strays. And there is such a tendency to still go so thin. But it's because, you know, my brows are really damaged. And so up here is where basically I have an eyebrow, and down here is basically where I have strays. So we got to keep the strays. So I'm going to show you how I fill in my brows to look modern, current, up to date, so much more youthful. I look at my daughter, and her eyebrows are, you know, as big as mine would be if I never waxed. So see how far down my eyebrows would actually come? Like, they go all the way to my lid. There's no space really in nature between my brow and my eyelid. That's how my little daughter's eyebrows are, so I know that that's a more youthful and more natural way to preach into the choir, Crystal, I know. So that's a more natural and youthful way to wear our eyebrows. Now, the other thing is brow trends change. So in 5 years, we're going to look back at this video and be like, oh my gosh, what was I doing with my eyebrows? So that's normal, totally fine. But we're getting on the trend of the more full, natural, fluffy eyebrow. And it's not even any longer that Instagram perfectly done eyebrow. What we're seeing these days is a more undone, more messy eyebrow that's very, very much just close to nature. Just whatever you would grow on your own face. That's what it is. So a couple of tips from me. Number one is to stop waxing and plucking for a long time. Give yourself like probably 6 months to get some regrowth on your eyebrows. And now at this point, I probably do need to start cleaning up the excess hairs. But I'm still not going to. I'm actually going to let my brows grow as long as I can kind of tolerate, because I really want to see where my natural brow would end up. So that's tip number one. Stop waxing, stop plucking. Just let your brows go wild for a little while. And if you fill them in, then it shouldn't look too undone. It should come off pretty well. Okay, anyway. Let me think. Tip number two is that I am redefining brow shaping. So for a long time, we kind of allowed magazines to dictate what the shape of our eyebrows should be. You can find lots of articles and like infographics and all of that kind of stuff telling us the flattering brow shape for our face. I want to invite you to think about the fact that perhaps the brow shape that you came with might just be the most flattering brow shape for your face. So that's what I am looking at for my own brows. I'm looking at the natural shape of them and kind of going to listen to my body, my biology, my own inherent beauty, and tell my brows that they are meant to be as they are. Okay, so I'm going to follow the natural shape of my brow. In order to hold them in place a little bit, I'm going to use this brow wax. We have this brow wax. I will tell you that it's kind of wonky. The wax actually comes out of the tin. So I don't know if I would recommend it or a different product, but this is the brand that I use. It is Saint, and I do use this. But if you have a different brand of brow wax that you already like, you can totally use that. But I do like ours, and I will show it to you. And I have this brush called the Line Brush from Saint as well. That has this is called a spoolie, this little brush end. So I'm going to rub my spoolie into my brow wax first, and I'm going to comb my brows. And I am going to follow the natural growth of the brow for the most part. So my brows grow pointing back like this. Crystal uses Arbonne. Perfect. Thanks for that tip, Crystal. My brows grow back like this, but the trend kind of does have a little bit of an upward fluff in the front. So I am going to try to kind of work that little fluff, that little front fluff up as well. So I'm just going to use my brow wax and kind of comb through. You can see I'm kind of twirling the brush as I go, which kind of just coats the hairs in that wax. I don't use very much of the wax because I do find that it feels waxy to me. So, but if I use just a small amount, it does not feel waxy. So if it feels waxy on your brows, you're probably using too much. I'm just going to take a second to comb through those brows and get them looking kind of fluffy, but kind of tame is kind of how I want them. Okay, so I just kind of combed through fluff. And as I get to the tail, this is the tail of your brow, I kind of tame them down a little bit. So I like to do a little bit of fluffiness in the front and then start to lay down a little bit in the back. So I'll do the other one so that you can see. And just so you know, number one, it's really hard for me to do my brows in a camera. I can't see very well right here. So it takes me way less time when I'm just doing it in my mirror, which is one reason why I rarely do it on camera. And it looks better when I do it in my mirror because I can see a bit better. I'm aging. I have old eyes. So I can't really see my makeup that well in the video. So I'm just kind of combing them upward and then outward as I get to the tail. And this is my bad brow. This is my good brow. We all have a bad sister. Good sister and a bad sister. No offense to Emily. But every eyebrow set, there's a good brow and a bad brow. It's the way it is. All right. Now I'm going to take my brow powder. This is our Saint eyeshadow called Trust, and it's just a nice color for my eyebrows. You can get lots of different brands of brow powders, and I'm going to take this little tiny, very sharp angled brush and just watch where, so I'm again following the natural shape of my brows, and in real life I have a lot, the brow is actually a lot fuller than it looks on the camera. So I'm actually going to create a pretty straight line. It's not straight, but it's diagonal up to where my brow naturally arches. So I'm going to have a line pretty much like this, and you'll see. I find it hard to explain my eyebrows, I kind of just build these techniques for myself. So that's the line I drew, like a straight diagonal line. I don't know if a straight diagonal is an oxymoron, but now I'm going to fill that in a little bit with my brow powder. want to be swiping your brush in quick, short little strokes to mimic a brow stroke, like the hair of a brow. So now on the front, I'm going to do a little bit straight up. A little bit straight, but also slanted, so get a feel for your own brow. And then lastly, I'm going to draw another diagonal line from the point, the arch, out to the tail. So here's my arch, and there's the tip of the tail. So see how I drew that? I'm going to just take these little guys. Okay, now one more thing for me. My brows do not have this sharp of an arch. They have more of a rounded shape. So I'm going to round that out. Just kind of fill in that little point that I had. So there we go. That's my brow. So I'll do the other one again so you can kind of just watch along. It might be easier to just watch than me talking at all. I'm not very good at teaching brows. Like I said, I kind of just do it. And I don't know if I really explain it very well, but you can kind of just watch and see what I do. When you start filling in your brows, it looks really strange to your eye because you're not used to seeing it on your face. But give it some time. And if you start to just do it every day, it will just become like your normal face to you. And now I can't stand to look at myself without my eyebrows done. Because really, like, this is the way I'm supposed to look. I do actually have eyebrows in real life. I just plucked them off for so long. So now that I have them back, I'm like, yes, hello to my face again. Finally look like myself. So here's kind of the finishing touch for me. That arch is so pointed and it's not naturally like that. So I like to kind of fill in a little space in that point. And of course, I kind of made a mistake, but I'm telling you, this is my bad brow. See that little mistake? It's actual hair, so I don't know. We just have to live with it. So if I want to get really particular, I can just get a little brush or a little Q-tip and kind of wipe away that little smudge. But you get the point. Not a big deal. They're imperfect. Okay, so that one's always nicer and they do look a little bit messy. But again, this is doing it in my camera and it's kind of just to help you all learn what to practice in your own mirror. So let's get in our mirrors and relearn what eyebrows are supposed to look like. It's something along the lines of this. I'm going to go touch these up in the mirror because they're a little bit of a hot mess. But I will be back very shortly to do a makeup application for you. So I'll see you soon.